Okay, then. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 11 Plus Awareness session. I'm Priya Saxena. I am London based and I do this most of the time with me and my husband Pankaj here.
Hello.
We do these awareness sessions together, and the reason being that we have been through this journey with our child. He's now in a very good grammar school, and we did a lot of research when we were trying it a few years back. So that's the reason, after going through the journey ourselves, we really thought we should at least start a community group first, and then do some kind of awareness sessions for those of the parents whom this is the first time, especially if you don't have an elder sibling. First time is difficult. You have to go through everything, so syllabus, dates, process, all this. So for the past 2 years, we have been doing it, kind of awareness session for our junior batches, and we'll be happy to ask take your questions at the end if you have any. And like I said, this session is being recorded, so anybody who has missed out on the session can go through it once, whenever they are available. And if you have any questions, you can ask in between as well. You're more than welcome to ask. And this is just like, one introductory kind of session for you if you're new to 11 plus. So we will we'll answer to the best of our knowledge, but there might be some things which we are not aware of. So forgive us for those. But we'll try to update if there's any question we don't know about. So with that, I'll quickly share my 11 plus deck with you. Wait a minute, still people are joining. So, okay. So I'll now go ahead to share a deck which we prepared for specifically for 2026 entry, which is the current year, which you are, so 2026 entry is what, the kids who are writing the exam now. And again, we would like to just brief out that this is only done for the advice group. We run a community group for WhatsApp. So if any of you are not there, you can scan the code, get into it. But because we have recently seen a lot of spammers getting into the group, we are really trying to authenticate genuine users from spam users. So if you want to join the group, please do send us a message separately with details for your details, just simple details. So we'll have to authenticate before we let anybody in. There are like 160 requests right now remaining, and I don't know who are spammers and who are not. So we'll want to sanitize a bit. Um, Sorry, I'll admit a few more. Sorry, people are joining late. Okay. So with that, we'll start with a quick introduction. So back few weeks back, we just floated this poll requests asking you what are the key areas you would like to hear about, and most of you have voted for the process, what kind of process it is. The key dates and catchments was a very highly rated topic from all of you, and then the exam formats and syllabus, and specifically what is the checklist and what are the 4-month plan from now till the exam September. So we'll try to cover all these, again, all the topics here, and definitely take your questions at the end. So we'll try to cover it in next half an hour and then leave another 20 minutes for all your questions you want to ask us. Okay. So that's sorry, I said next 10 months plan. It's 4 months plan now, because I said we used this session earlier as well, but this is a 4-month plan. We are going to show you just from now to September. So the process first, Pankaj will explain it to you.
Hi, everyone. So let's go through the process. I mean, I'm sure most of you would be aware of some of these, but it's always good to reinforce that process first. So first starts with the exam registration. So you register for whichever exam that your child is planning to take. So depending on if you're looking for QE or Henrietta or CSSE or set, whichever. So you need to first apply for those specific schools or consortiums for registering with the exam, and that usually happens between March and June. So at present, most of the schools have started accepting applications for entrance into their schools. There's probably just one which still hasn't opened, Central's, but rest of the applications are now open, and you'll have to apply individually to each school. Now, when I say individually, it's to specific consortium. So like all schools in Kent will follow one application, all schools in Bexley will follow an application, all schools in CSSE will follow an application. So you'll have to apply to that specific application. You don't have to go and apply to individual schools within that consortium. So that application process happens now, and it usually closes around June time. So make sure that you apply to the school or the consortium of schools that you're planning your child to put into, because if you miss this date, then there's no other option. There's no second chance over there. So just make sure that you see what are the dates for your preferred schools and apply to that. Then the second step, obviously, preparation for your child, but the exams usually happen in September, October time. Most of the exams happen in September. There are very few. Usually, second stage exams happen in October. So a lot of grammars, mostly probably 80 to 90% of them have just one exam, but there are few of them like Sutton ones and St. Ol's which have two entrance exams, or HBS which have two entrance exams. So if your child qualifies into the second round, then you'll have to do another exam, mostly in around October time or a late end of September time. So that's when the exams happen. And then the third step, obviously, is the scores, or the results of the exam, and that starts coming in towards end of September or mid-October types. So most of the schools release their results around that time, and based on the results, now some schools provide you with marks, some schools do not provide any marks. They just say whether your son has qualified, or whether your child has qualified or not. So there's various level of information that each of the schools provide. So depending on which school your child wants to go into, look at the marks, and then you start applying for the particular school as such. So 31st October is usually the last date for secondary school application. So this is different from the exam registration. Exam registration is to register for the exam so that your child can write the exam. But once the child has written the exam, second step will be to apply for a school place, and that should be done before the 31st of October. Obviously, once you've applied and you want to know whether the child has got a seat or not, that happens on the National Offer Day, which is usually the 1st of March. But if it's a public holiday, then it happens on the next day. So in case of 2026, that will be 2nd of March, and that's when the council would specify whether your child has got a space or not. And if not, then the child will go on a waiting list for that particular school. And once you have a confirmed seat, then you have about 2 weeks to accept the offer. So that's again mid-March is when you'll have to accept the offer. And once you've accepted the offer, then that's it pretty much. Then you just prepare yourself for your child going to that particular grammar school beginning September 2026. So that's the whole process from an application, registration, exam results kind of view. Obviously, the preparation side is the other side of it, but yeah, this is what we need to keep in mind in terms of key dates or key processes that happen in the 11+ journey. I'll move on to the next slide now. So what this slide now, this is slightly small, so you might not see everything in detail, but this is basically a spreadsheet. We have the link to the spreadsheet on the group description as well, and we can send you the link as well later on the group. But this spreadsheet basically provides you all the information for all different schools in terms of what are the registration date, start date, end date, when is the exam dates, when do the results come out, and other information. So that spreadsheet is kind of like a Bible for a lot of information that we have put in, and we've gathered sources from a lot of different places and tried to put in that information. Let me try and share that spreadsheet with you. So this is the spreadsheet that I'm talking about. So let me zoom in a bit. Oops. So So this spreadsheet, on this sheet, it tells you, let's say for QE, whether it's a boys school or a girls school, what date did the registration open, what date the registration closes, and what dates are the exams. So like QE has exams on 2 dates. So that could be 17th and 18th. When do the results come out? And then other informations as such, like what is the deadline date, which is 31st October for all the councils, and then the offer comes up on the 2nd of March. So yeah, please go through the spreadsheet. I think this is quite useful, and it tells you what schools come under a particular consortium. Like this is all, these are all the schools that come under CSSE. These are all the list of schools that come under Sutton or SET. Then these are all the schools in Kent. Now there are a lot more in Kent, but we couldn't have listed all of them. But the ones that we have listed are among the top schools in Kent that come under this. Similarly, Bexley have 4 schools under them, and then there are others like Buckinghamshire and Southwest Herts Consortium. So yeah, all these schools have different dates in terms of the registration opening and closing and exam dates. There is a possibility that some of the exam dates might clash, but if that happens, usually they won't happen in terms of schools that are close to each other, but there could be a rare case where it can happen, and there's not much we could do in that case. We could probably ask the council to rearrange your child's exam to a different date, but whether they would accept that or not is totally up to them. So there's not much we could do in that case.
I think it happened, I think 2 years back, Bexley and Sutton clashed, and same time slot, and none of them were willing to move the kids to a different time slot. So that was unfortunately, and Bexley and Sutton are close enough to each other, so parents had to make a choice, which exam do they really want to target. So that happened in 2004, I think. 2024. And last year as well, there was a clash with another 2, not nearby but far away consortiums, one from the eastern side, one from west. So take a look at which dates here are, say, which dates you think are clashing with your son or child, and then you can take a call which ones would you like to really attend and which ones would be something you can look as passing, giving it a pass.
Okay, moving on then. So let's go back to the tab now. So yeah, so this sheet is quite useful, and yeah, there's another sheet on this one which tells you in terms of what are the catchment areas for each of the schools. Now this particular tab is also quite useful in the spreadsheet because it tells you for a particular school that you're aiming for, what are the catchment areas. So some of the schools are super selectors, which means they don't really have a catchment. Anybody from anywhere in the UK can apply to that school, and there's no preference to any person, whether they're living 1 mile away or 100 miles away. So there are a few schools like that which don't have a catchment, but a lot of schools have catchment, and some schools don't even allow kids from outside the catchment, like Redbridge, the Ilford County High School. They don't allow anyone outside Redbridge Council to apply. I mean, even if you apply, there's pretty much zero chances of getting anything into getting anyone into the school. A lot of schools have in catchment seats and out of catchment seats, like for Keggs, Chelmsford County, Colchester. They all have roughly 80% in catchment and 20% out of catchment seats available. So if you are planning to get into, move into the catchment, then there needs to be a specific time period before which you need to be in the catchment to avail of that advantage, because obviously the competition within catchment will be lesser comparatively than the competition outside catchment, primarily because of the number of seats. So 80% of seats are in catchment while 20% out of catchment. So obviously there are more seats available in catchment. I'm just telling an example of Keggs or CCHS or Colchester Royal there here. But again, different schools have different criterias. Not every school is based on your top ranks. Schools within Bexley have more of a distance from the school in terms of ranking. So once you qualify a minimum score, then the nearest distance from the school is given the first preference. So in terms of again getting into the school, different grammar schools have different criteria. So you need to make sure that whatever schools that you're targeting, you need what is the criteria for each of them in terms of catchment. I would say target about max 4 or 5 schools, and just prepare your child based on those 4 or 5 schools rather than aiming for everything. I mean, you could give exams for other grammar schools as well, just as a preparation. But yeah, just if you are seriously targeting something, I think 3 to 5 are the max that you need to target. And then make sure that the preparation, all the studies are according to the syllabus and the format of each of these schools, because again, the format differs from school to school a bit, not a lot, but yes, there are differences. So you need to make sure you understand what are the formats for each of the schools, what are the catchment areas, what are the criteria for getting into the school, and prepare your child accordingly, because focused study based on the school that you prefer is quite important there.
So I think just to add to that, some of these schools make it even more difficult for us as parents to make a choice. Like if you see most of the schools in Essex area, they have a cutoff that you can move before 31st of October, then it's fine. But if you see specifically, Chelmsford County School, that school even does one of the groups they have, like creative writing. Even the cutoff mark of passing is dependent on whether you are in or out of the school. So, especially if you're targeting something like Chelmsford County for girls' high school, then you have to really move a bit more earlier so that your child has that, advantage of being in area even while the papers are getting corrected. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind for all those who are looking for CCHS. And like, for example, like Pankaj said, 20% out of catchment, rest of it in catchment. The catchment point has been jumping way up and down. Like KEGS in 2003 exam, I believe, the KEGS cutoff, sorry, 2023 exam, I believe, the KEGS cutoff for out of catchment was somewhere like 366. But then in 2024, it jumped to 376. So like 10 points of increase. And a lot of parents who saw 366 were like, they thought they are safe outside catchment, but then suddenly 10-point jump, which was one of the biggest jumps, have most of the kids really went into the waiting list then. So you have to be really sure, if you're definitely certain about a school that you want it, you like it, then look for the admission policy of that school and plan your move beforehand if you can. So for others who want to wait and see, then that's fine as well. You can wait till October results, and then say, for example, if you really have to move into a catchment, say Essex schools usually take 31st October as a cutoff to move in catchment, but Bexley, for example, goes till say another month, November sometime. And then Kent has a different date. It was sometimes December, sometimes November. You really have to track the in-area catchment dates as well if you want to make a choice after seeing the results of your child. So again, Sutton, for example, Sutton has you see Sutton, Wilson's, all these. Wilson's is super selective, of course. There's only that 9 seats of music and 9 seats of sports. Now that is another thing you should keep in mind. Some schools like Wilson's and like Latimer, they have a separate music quota as well. So if they will be asked to attempt, once they have cleared round 1 and then they attempt round 2, they'll be called for a music aptitude test, and they'll be tested in the instrument of their choice, for example. Now out of these, top 9 students will get into the music quota. Same way with sports, they might be tested. Say Wilson's has been testing on football skills. So if the child is really good in football, they'll be given 1 day of coming out, playing in the field, showing their skills. And then based on that, they will get an advantage. Of course, they have to clear stage one as well, but they will be given some advantage if they are in that niche 9, top 9 of the whole list who are playing a sport or who are in the music skill set. So explore these things as well. If you can, you see, your child is really good at some skill with sports or music, you can target those schools. That would be a good point as well, to utilize their other skills other than academics. Yeah.
Okay, moving on then. Um, so this spreadsheet also has a list of top 25 secondary schools as per the latest ranking by the Times. Top 2025, I believe. So um, I guess you're mostly aware of the top 10 schools anyways, the usual candidates: HBS, QE, Wilson's, St. Paul's. This is primarily in the London and surrounding regions. Of course, Colchester Royal, um, and then Reading School, Dartford Grammar. So Latimer, these are quite good in terms of the studies and all. And if your child gets into any of these, I would say any of the top 20, 25 are pretty good in terms of their studies. I think once you go below that, once it goes beyond 50 and stuff, it doesn't make so much of a difference whether your child's going to a grammar or a good state school. So an outstanding state school might be as good as a grammar school as well. So don't stick with the thing of grammar. I think the focus is, if you're getting to a good grammar school with good credentials, yes, it does make a difference. But we don't really have to be pushing our child beyond our boundaries to get into a grammar. So we need to remember that as well. So yeah, all this information in terms of the ranking is also present in that spreadsheet. So if you want to have a look. Moving on then. So this is a grammar school prep checklist. I'll let Priya take you through this one from here on.
Sure. Okay. So I think, like Pankaj said, main important thing is look at what your child is really good at. Don't push them beyond their boundaries. Because again, there are really good people coming out of even a good state school. So every child it really depends on every child, but we are giving this like a generic step-by-step, checklist for you to see what you can do to help them. For example, first thing, like Pankaj said, shortlist the grammar schools, and I would say that look at the syllabus and then shortlist. If you're very keen on a certain area, you want to move there, you want to be there, then of course that is your preferred area. If not, look at which grammar schools are in the top list, which have, say, GL pattern, or which ones have CSSE pattern, or which ones follow, because if you prepare the child with a multiple choice kind of mindset, then they might find it difficult to adjust to a subjective kind of paper. Yeah, or some kids might be very good in expressing themselves, writing paragraphs of text and creative writing, all that. They might find this multiple choice questions a bit too quick to answer. So look at what your child's strengths are, and then shortlist your grammar school based on, one is your geographical area, of course that matters, whether you want to move to that place or not, and second is your child's strengths. Identify what make them score better, which format. And then again, very highly recommend everybody to go through admission policy, because admission policy is the single source of truth for you to know everything about the school, the application, the dates, the formats, the patterns. And schools try to keep it a bit at a higher level. Sometimes they don't really get into specifics, but you get enough of information. So for you, those top 5 schools or top 3 schools, whichever you are shortlisting, make sure you read through admission policy for 2026 entry. That is a must as a parent to do that homework for us. So go through that. Then again, look for catchment area. Like I said, some schools like CCHS, Chelmsford County Girls, they do prefer people coming in beforehand, before even writing the exam. And then even if you want to relocate at a later point, it is too much of a rush, because you get your results by, say, mid-October. End of October you have to move. It's not very easy for everybody to just find a rented apartment and go immediately. And you have to submit real good proof. They will ask you like electricity bill, utility bills. So council is one thing, but electricity, utility, and some schools even go to the extent of checking what are the units you have burnt in your electricity bill. So it's very good idea to really move into the catchment genuinely if you have decided on a certain school, because last minute rush may or may not work out well. Okay. And then one really important thing I felt with my child and my friends' kids and everyone, we have even had students in the past who have studied 11 plus with us. So one very important thing we have seen is how motivated the child is, how much they really want to get into a school. Because there's one thing which is push, there's one thing which is pull. If the child is willing to go somewhere, then nothing like that. So best ways to motivate your child is take them to the open days. Every school will have open, and open days start now. They will start in, say, June, July, and there are limited tickets to very famous top 10 schools. There are very limited tickets. You have to book the ticket beforehand. So go through your school's admission policy, check when is the, they call it either open day or open evening, something like that will be there on the website. We do have a kind of, I can take you through that sheet, but we haven't updated the sheet with 2024 entries. So if you see open evenings, we made a note of all the open evenings last year. This time, look, shortage of time, me and Pankaj couldn't update it. But you have all the links here. So you can use this sheet to go through the link, and then in the admission process, you will find open days information, everything you're trying to do. There are some booking links as well, which we pasted. Some of the links may not work because they were from the last year's booking, but at least you know that roughly open days are in, it's now. Some of them might have finished already in March, April, but most of them also happen in June, July. And these are the chances for you to tell your child why they need to work hard for 11 plus. Even as adults, we need motivation. Children need more motivation. They will not understand at this tender age why they need to work so hard. If you know what I mean. It was very difficult, but say, for example, my own personal case, we went through all this. My son is totally into cricket. Wherever he saw a big cricket pitch, he was like, I want to get into that school. And then my push was almost gone because he wanted to do it, not me. So make sure you take your kids to those open days. Even first thing is, you also get an idea of the school. You might have heard many things, but when you go to the school, talk to the teachers, talk to the students, you get a feel if this is really the kind of school you want your child to go to. Not every school is suitable for everyone. So that's your opportunity to meet the teachers, meet the students, get into the labs, see their experiments, like explore that open day, make use to your benefit, benefit out of that time. And at the same time, make sure that if you really want your child to go to a particular school, you highlight the areas which they will be interested. Someone very good in music, show them the music room, that will act as a motivation. So head teacher's address, of course, will be important, but you yourself experiencing it, asking them questions is more important. Then comes registering for the exam, which is, now. Like Pankaj said, except for St. Paul's, if you see the sheet, every other school has registrations open. There's no excuse to get late, and there's nobody who will get you an entry after that. I've had some parents who have missed out and they regretted later. So go through it now today, just fill out the forms. It will take like hardly 5 minutes max, not more than that. Then targeted study for shortlisted schools. And yeah, one more thing for registration. When you say your choice of exam, say for example, you are targeting QE. Now QE, will be somewhere 18th, 19th, that stage. I don't know exact dates, but that will be the time when they will conduct the exam. Make sure that is not the first exam your child is writing. So if it's the first exam, it might get overwhelming because they'll see a queue of like 100 people, 100 kids standing there. They might somehow feel, oh my God, how am I going to do it? So let them go through those. Even if you don't want a particular school, just go there just for that experience. So that in the school of your choice, your child has that they have sanitized their brain to work on the questions, not get scared with the crowd and everything. So for me, I would say most of the in London areas, Latimer is the one who usually conducts it at the beginning of September. So whether or not you want to attend, get into that school, just for experience, I would highly prefer before your school of choice, go at least, to 10, sorry.
Mocks as well.
Oh yeah, go through at least 2 schools of real exam and a lot of mocks. So mocks, I cannot stress enough for that now, but I'll tell you, after in next slides, I'll explain to you about why mocks are important, because this is not just knowledge test. It is a test of time management and, mental strength. It is all about time management and mental strength as well. If you give the same paper to your child at home and give them enough time, they will do everything right. But that's not the case. That exam pressure and time management, you have to deal with it now in the next 2 months. If you leave it for late, then your child may not perform best on the actual date of the exam. So definitely register for more exams, and especially choose some exams just for practice, and then the your actual exam where your child has to perform well. And mock exams, I'll talk about it later as well. On you need to see where their strengths are, what they're doing well. Then coming targeted study for shortlisted exams. I'll cover this topic with when we cover the syllabus and the format of the exam, because this is very important. Then previous papers practice and shortlisted schools. This is again the mock which I'm saying. Previous papers and the mock exams, they will help. And then attempt school specific mock exams. I'll cover this all in the next slide. So I know there's a lot I have spoken about, but this is all, at least to get you some more pointers to what you're already preparing for. Maybe this will give you some more pointers on what you can do better, to improve their chances of getting in. With that, we'll go to the topic of boards and consortiums. Say, for example, we have divided London school areas mainly here, but you can find even other schools a lot. So as you can see, a lot of schools fall into the kind of GL category. If you see this one, this row, whole of Bexley, Redbridge School, and Latimer to some extent. There's a star because Latimer has GL for maths and VR, but it has a creative writing, continuous writing kind of exam as well. That is a different part. But a lot of schools in Buckinghamshire, in Hertfordshire, they all follow GL pattern. So majority of the London and surrounding schools have this GL assessment pattern, which is purely multiple choice questions, and they will have, mostly they fall under maths, NVR, VR, and English. And I highly recommend you, if you are targeting any of these schools in this column here, then buy the GL assessment papers if you can. There is a set of, there will be 3 sets with 3 papers each, so 9 papers altogether for GL. Those will be, and the way the booklet is in, if you buy the original booklet, the way the booklet you see, that booklet will be exactly the kind of booklet they get in the actual exam. So at least when they look in the actual exam at that, they'll feel like, okay, we have done this, we can do this again. So that practice is going to help your child if they are targeting anything, Kent's Law, all these are GL kind of exams. So I would highly say go through that pattern. It is kind of difficulty wise moderate. It's not very tough. And time pressure wise as well, it is moderate. Kids will be able to attempt the exam. It's not like running against time and all that. Only thing which can get down in GL exams for them is if they are doing silly mistakes, or if they don't know how to do elimination. So with multiple choice, also teach your kids how to eliminate some choices. If they don't know what is the right answer, then just eliminate what is not the right answer and guess, then that's more easier. So the way you approach multiple choices, you teach your kids how do you eliminate and do a bit of, strong guesses as well halfway through. And then if you're running short of time, then just, mark it at least. You do not leave it, because most of the schools don't have kind of negative marking. Actually, there's one school which we can talk about later, which does not have negative marking, but they do have some marks which they cancel. So we'll talk about that later. That's just one case in a certain school, in one of the SET schools. It's Wilson's actually. So we can go through that later. For CSSE, again, like you see, most of the Essex schools follow this. This is very different to GL. It has everything. There's no multiple choice at all. They have to write down the creative writing answers by themselves. They have to do maths as well. They have to calculate. So some kids might enjoy this more than, just saying ABCD. And most of the time, creative writing, those who write, good essay writings, they might have an advantage here. So think about it. If that is your child's strength, let them focus on this kind of exam. Then SET, again, this is the certain area skill set. Most of the time, the stage 1s are multiple choice, stage 2s are subjective with creative writing and all that. And Wilson being the toughest of all of them. So again, there are different schools coming here. Complexity wise, both CSSE and SET are kind of medium to complex. It's not like some few questions, but some complicated questions at the end. Especially in CSSE style, if you see, it will start with basic plus minus multiply divide, then it will grow on to be a tough level of question. And with mathematics, CSSE has been getting tougher and tougher every exam. Every exam they have been getting tougher. So time management, it can be moderate to high depending on it, because last 2 years CSSE has been very time crunch for mathematics. For English, it has been okay, but you can again, give them past papers, especially for CSSE. get the past paper pack from CSSE website. There are many free to download ones, but the last 2 years, I think you have to pay for it if you want those. But it's very well the money you are spending. So I highly recommend go through the CSSE papers from their website if you want. SET again, there are mock exams. SET for Wilson's, they have their own parent association doing a mock exam. Sutton School has it. So watch out for the mocks as well, because the mock exam tickets get very quickly. They go away very quickly. Don't have a place then. FSC is mainly for Chelmsford Girls, Reading Grammar, and the other grammar school called Colton. So these are again similar, moderate to complex, and like I said, they have multiple choice for paper one. Paper two is multiple choice plus free form, whereas they have to write something, and then paper three is creative writing. So again, main emphasis is on English, creative writing, and maths. So make sure that your kids are very well aware of how to attempt this question. If you are targeting this, make sure your kids are aware of creative writing and all. That's the part where people can lose marks. Finally, coming to the top boys school, which is QE, multiple choice question, but very difficult, complex questions. I would highly recommend both, and very time crunch questions. They only have maths and English, but maths, they will include VR in English and NVR kind of questions in maths, very few of them. But the complexity is again on the higher side, on the complex side of things, especially with time management. If you're planning for QE, practice their time management a lot. That's very important. HBS, again, not an easy exam. Again, being top school in girls and boys, they have to be tough. So they are the ones, they do round one as kind of multiple choice question, then go for subjective. And again, same thing. Creative writing is a part of it. Maths is a part of it. So make sure your kids are prepared with the type of syllabus the schools are expecting. Sorry, I'm rushing through it now because we want to give time for Q&A. Very quickly, preparation, test, and review. This is always the case. Don't just let your child attempt it and leave the paper. Sit down with them, because review is the main part where you have to show them what mistakes they are doing. And sometimes what helped me is when your child is attempting a paper, especially online papers as well. Classroom papers are important, but with online paper, I used to be behind the child, not helping, not doing anything, but watching which questions he's taking more time for solving. It's very important for you to analyze what is the pattern. If they are running out of time, what is the pattern? Where are they failing? Is it one question they are spending more time? Then they need to know which question to skip. That is a very important part of exam. If they are finding something very difficult, don't get stuck there, move on. Because for example, my kid, I understood that somewhere he gets stuck and then he gets demotivated because he knew that he's losing time there. So make sure that your child is skipping the right questions, coming back to them later whenever needed. And some kids lose focus after say 40 minutes of exam. So last 10-15 minutes, they are not focused at all. So make sure that you check these habits of your kids with an online exam. What are they doing? Where are they failing to manage time? Either accuracy or speed. These two are important for any big exam to crack. Coming to the final topic, which is the 4-month plan. Like I compare it to a game. The final 15 minutes of a football match are the most crucial. You can change the game there. Same way, final 5 overs in a cricket match are the most useful. The team which does well there will be on the winning side most of the time. So here is the final, stretch of that marathon. You have to make sure you are there with your child in the next 4 months. It will be very overwhelming for those kids to attempt mock exams, practice questions, everything. So be there with them all the time. Okay. And then I would say refresh the topics which they are struggling with. Now, by now, you will have an idea on which papers they are doing well, where are they not doing well. Say mathematics, algebra might be difficult for them, or say ratio proportions might be difficult for someone. Sit down with those tests, let them attempt it. You make a note of where they are doing mistakes. Why are they, missing the target, for example. So topic-based test, go for refreshing on the topics which they are finding difficult. But from on almost, June, July, August will be full of mock exams. Mock exams are the way you can improve their performance, because that's where you will know across all the topics, across all the, the whole syllabus, how are they performing, because this will help them in their actual exam. When they really go for an exam, mock exams, the more they practice with time, with like, see, you see QE 60 questions in 45 minutes, it's not easy even for an adult. We feel that kids should do it, but trust me, 45 minutes 60 questions is not easy for anyone. And think of a child 11 years old. So ask them to do a lot of mock practice. Even if they do it, mark down what they have done wrong, make a paper out of those wrong questions and make them do it again. That's the best way you can work on their weaknesses. And then I would say last 2 months, booster courses are important, because that's where you are going through one of the, tutors are teaching all that. But if you go through the booster course, you'll really, that child will get this reinforced in their brain, how to approach this problem. Creative writing, go for the booster course. Comprehension, go for the booster course. Mathematics. So these are like the last 2 months are real focus, which will make the difference. It will make all the difference. So a lot of practice, further practice, reviews, and make sure before your child sits that first exam, they are aware of what they are getting into. Okay. So September, October exams, and finally October, you will hopefully get, all of you will get the place you wanted, the rank you wanted. Okay. So with that, we will open for Q&A. And now this is my only slide where I will tell you about what we do. Of course, we are sharing this all for community, for the advice group, and will be happily participating in that group. But apart from that, me and Pankaj, we started after our experience with 11 plus, we started kind of booster courses and mock exams. That's the website we use for that. And most of the time we don't do it throughout the year, because we are full time into our own jobs. But we do it at least 3 months now. June, July, August, we spend time with 11 plus students, mainly for the booster course. We know they are already there, they know the things, they know the concepts, but we mainly try to fine tune them with time management, with how to handle pressure. And with each of the booster course we do, we really want to have a one-to-one session with the parent to tell them or explain to them our assessment of where the child needs a bit more, because end of the day, even 2 marks can make all the difference. So that's what we do it for the next 3 months. So here is the website. If you have any interest, just go there or ping us on the WhatsApp channel. We'll be happy to tell you. So from mostly next month, 3 months, we'll conduct a series of mock exams, full mocks, a bit of you can practice the topic based test on the website itself, but full mocks we conduct it. And with every full mock, we do a kind of review session with the kids. And with the booster courses, there will be booster course, say like 1 hour every day for 5 days, and end of it we would really take an exam and get into a consultation with the parents, because the more you know their weaknesses, the better you can work on it. I think with that, we will open up for questions now.
Yeah.
Yes, anyone having any questions, please feel free to ask us.
Hi. I don't have a question, but I wanted to ask. You said something about going through the mock paper, saving it, and then putting in a notebook. Can you please explain that on a bit? Like, because they will be attending lots of online mocks or physical mocks or different, like like for example, what I have started doing topic based mock, for example, for math. Like I'm giving 100 algebra, 100 fraction, these sort of things. And it's not like she's making lots of mistakes, like lots of silly mistakes. So, and then slowly I will introduce her to like online mocks papers I will buy from, for example, Examberry or APP. So like is like by saying that we have to keep track of the mistakes, how is it actually possible? Like if they are doing the online, so shall I take the question screenshot or put it somewhere, like how normally you guys used to do? Because of course I think you have better experience than because I'm the first time parent. Yeah, if you kindly elaborate that one. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. So I'll detail to you some things which I used and which worked for me, and even I saw it with other kids. So most of these online providers will provide you with at least wrong answers, if not the whole paper. So you can go back, say for example, the website examchamps.com, you can go back and see the questions which are right and wrong. And some of the papers which you attempt, they may not give you the whole paper. Of course, we give the whole paper, but there are people who only give what are wrong. For example, some of the big institutes, they do send you a mail of what were the questions which they did wrong. So that's what I mean by making a note of that. So I used to take a printout, copy those questions or at least note it down, and then practice it again with the child. And most importantly, I'll say, like I said, there are, you said EPP and all, you want to buy the set of questions that you can take a printout you are able to download it. If you're able to download it, take a printout and then
Mhm.
mark it there, what is right, what is wrong. Like the GL assessment kit which I mentioned, there's a set of 9 papers. You will
Mhm.
find what are right and wrong. You can create another paper out of it, or at least rub it off and then ask the child to reattempt it, take a Xerox of it, or do something wherein they at least get a second level of practice for what they are not getting best the first.
Yeah, yeah, because initially I started because I found it too much time consuming, because of course, like, these days I think most of the parents, they work full time, and
Yeah.
after after a like full week, is getting very nerve wracking, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, like, is there any other way to keep track of those mistakes the kids are making, especially in terms of like math is understandable. I think like kids make repetitive mistakes. For example, if they are weak in money problems, or if they are weak in fraction or percentage,
Yeah.
like my daughter makes mistakes in like long math.
Mm.
So I think it's easy to track, but in terms of like VR, NVR, English, I don't understand how to basically go back and revise the topics.
Yeah.
What you guys used to do?
I mean, for English, I think he'll be the best one to answer it. If say,
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say the reason why you need to spend some time is to understand the kind of mistakes that they are making, and can you identify a pattern in those mistakes. Now, sometimes the mistakes could be in a specific subject, like let's say ratio and percentages. If they have not understood the concept and they are consistently making mistakes in that particular area, but
Mm-hmm.
rest of the areas that they are doing fine, then you know that that's where you have to focus. Similarly, in English, there are different kinds of questions. Some are interpretation questions, some are straightforward questions, some are questions which are wrongly worded. I mean, some are questions for synonyms, antonyms. So where is it that that your child is making mistakes? So we need to identify that and then kind of work on improving that. So I know that parents are busy and it's difficult to spend time, but I think the last 3 months or 3 to 4 months is the
Hmm.
time when we have to really take some time out and see where they are going wrong and then focus on those specific areas. Because I think by this time you would have already kind of taken them through most of the
Yeah.
basics, and now it is just time to refine and focus on the specific areas where they are weak, and try and push them in those areas. And that's what basically that focuses.
yeah, I think especially like he said in English, we have noticed that a lot of direct factual questions in comprehension
Mm-hmm.
kids can
Mm-hmm.
answer because it's there in the paragraph. But when it comes to inferencing the question, understanding what it meant, those are the questions where the ranks really go up and down. And to
Mm-hmm.
be honest, I took leave for most of August because that was the time. If I don't work with my child at that time, then we are basically missing
Yeah,
out.
that's I
Me
saved all
too.
my annual leave for August
Yeah,
as
that
well.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, in terms of English, I haven't get the chance to basically download the free past papers from the schools. Some of the schools published earlier, but is it always a comprehension, and then the kids have to work through the comprehension to show their knowledge of grammar or spag, or is there a different way of
Depending
assessing
on
them? Yeah.
Yeah, depending on which school you're targeting, because each school have a different way of providing questions. If it's multiple choice questions,
Yeah.
reading comprehension is pretty much a part of, I think, every school. Like, you need to read and then answer questions. Now, if it's a
Yeah.
multiple choice,
Yeah.
it becomes a bit easier. But if it is something like CSSC, where you have to write it in your own words, then a lot of things become complicated, especially
Yeah.
for
Yeah. Yeah.
creative writing
Mhm,
and reading
mhm.
comprehension again. So yeah, depending on what school you're targeting, you'll have to focus on specific papers for that school, and then take that call.
Yeah.
I think let's,
Okay.
in the interest of time, let's move to the next question. Maybe,
Yeah.
Aisha,
It's
if you
fine.
want,
Yeah.
we can talk
Thank you.
offline as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The next one, please. SY, you have raised your hand.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Just a quick question. You mentioned that there is no negative marking, but you mentioned Wilson's have some other way
Yeah.
of marking. What is that? Can you confirm, please?
So certain schools, they have a way of marking. That's in
I
round
think
2, right?
Mainly Wilson's, yes.
Yeah. So
Mainly Wilson.
again, I don't think at this point of time we need to really bother about it. But what we are saying is that they have questions combined. Like there could be 4 choices that you could make. There could be 4 right choices. Like so, usually what happens is if it's a multiple choice question, you will have 1 right question out of whatever 4 or 5 given choices. But sometimes there could be like questions where you say pick 3 correct choices out of the given choices. So there could be 3 right answers or 3 choices out of the 5 which are correct. So if they choose all 3, then they get all the 3 points. But if they choose 2, they won't get all the points. But so if they choose 2 right and 1 wrong, so that 1 right and 1 wrong gets cancelled and they get only 1 mark. So it's something like that. So it's not really negative marking per se, but then if you make a wrong choice, your right choice answer gets negated and you might get a slightly lesser mark.
So does that mean they give 0 marks for that question, or do they give at least half, sort of like, for that
So
question?
let's say there were 3 choices to be made and you just made 2 choices. One was right and 1 was wrong. So you'll get 0 because your right answer got negated with a wrong answer. So that way you'll get 0, but you will never, your points won't reduce from the previous questions. If you had a score of 10, it's not like if you give a wrong answer to this, it goes down to 9. So there's no negative per se, but your right and wrong answers can get cancelled through each other. So that's what it
So
is.
you can read the details on the website as well, as well. You can go through certain website. They say there's a FAQ saying, do you have negative marking? They say no, this is how we do it. They explain it.
Okay. Can you also, because we are on the certain, can you also confirm if there is any age-related normalization for the certain school?
It does happen. Age standardization is been done across all the grammar schools. So yeah, it does happen, but the ratio in which it is done can differ from year to year and from school to school. So we won't know what age standardization they have used, but all we can say is yes, there is that thing that happens depending on when the child is born.
I mean, summer born usually have a higher, advantage, a slightly higher advantage to the winter borns. And especially CSSE reveals the formula they have used for calculating. So last few years, CSSE exams, they have revealed that like 2024 paper, mathematics was not much of a difference between summer and winter born, but for English, they have used a bigger ratio to calculate the difference. So based on the complexity of the paper, how difficult it is for the child to understand if they are 10 months later or earlier born, they calculate a different proportion of how many marks should a summer born get extra compared to a winter born on the same raw score. So raw score will be the same, but the standardized score will differ slightly. So it depends. It's not like a constant formula, but every year they assess the complexity of the paper and then they decide.
That makes sense. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, we have PD.
Hi, I have one question related to the Chelmsford School. So, can I know, like, how do they do the correction for the outside catchment?
You're talking about boys or girls?
Girls, Chelmsford girls, yeah.
Chelmsford County High School.
Yeah, outside catchment.
Okay. So they have 2 stages, right?
Firstly, they have 4 groups. I mean, it's the same day exam. There are 4 groups. They have, say, first a maths test and an English test, and then a creative writing is extra. Okay. And there's another one which, vocabulary and all. But this creative writing paper, they have different threshold pass mark for in catchment and out of catchment. So in short, it's more complicated with CCHS compared to other schools, because other schools give corrections equal to in and out catchment area, and they only say we are taking 120 from here, 30 from outside. But in CCHS, they will not even correct the creative writing paper if the child has not performed well in, say, for example, English paper. But that cutoff mark of whether to correct creative writing paper correction will be done or not will depend on whether they are inside or outside catchment. For outside catchment, for example, I'm just giving an example. They might use different marks line. But for example, if it is 111 for outside mark cutoff for correction of creative writing paper, for inside catchment, it might be 80. So anybody scoring 110 will miss out if they're outside, but if they are inside catchment, their creative writing will be corrected and they might get a better rank if they are good at creative writing. So this is not totally, crystal clear with on CCH's website, but
Mhm.
out of our experience with, previous kids who have entered there, and we do know a bit about it. But I would say, if you are really targeting that school, better move there beforehand.
Okay.
And that is before writing the exam
Yeah,
in
yeah,
this case, because your exam gets assessed based on whether you are inside or outside. There's no
Okay.
other school which assesses,
Yeah.
your
Okay.
exam score based on whether you're inside
And
or
some
outside.
of the parents who are very strong on CCHS high school, they are moving in May because they have to collect their utility bill, all that, and then, go for the exam in 3 months.
Understand.
So,
So it doesn't make sense even after releasing the results sometime in October, before 31st of October. If I move, and can't I say it as an inside catchment myself?
yeah, you can actually, if your child's creative writing was corrected,
Mm-hmm.
then you are qualified for that.
Okay.
But they may or may not do a
Uh,
I heard that they will not recorrect the paper, because on the date of correction they'll check if they are inside or outside,
Outside.
and then the cutoff mark will be dependent on that, just for creative writing. But
Mhm.
there are many kids who have cleared creative writing, got a good rank, and then they moved inside catchment to avail the rank based inside catchment. So there are
Understood.
two inside catchment criteria for CCHS.
Okay.
One is correction marking,
Okay.
and one is rank based. So
Okay.
if your child scores that score, and if, like, say for example, last year one of our students scored, say, a bit less than the outside catchment area, the
Mhm.
catchment mark,
I
but
understand.
they moved inside catchment between 20th October to 31st October, and they availed it.
Understand.
So, but if somebody's creative writing was not corrected because they were outside catchment, that is difficult to revert back.
Understood. Oh, thank you.
Sorry, we are almost at time. If we have any last questions, we'll take it. If not, you can ping us later as
You
messages.
can always message on the group
Yeah.
chat, and we should be able to answer that.
Okay. So thank you all for joining the call. I hope it was useful, and please go through the sheet and yeah, Asha, you want to say something?
Oh no, it's fine. I just wanted to say thank you.
All right, okay.
Thank
No
you for
worries.
your time.
Yeah, so thank you all for your time. Good luck to your kids. And
Yeah, I will just paste the sheet link, because I know that has been that has come handy for most of the parents. I'll paste the sheet here where you can just go through this particular sheet and see if you would if it helps you. It has all the key dates, the catchment area related information, and a lot more, some of the resources as well, which you can use.
Thank
Okay,
you.
with that we'll close the call now. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope good luck with your exam preparation.
Thank you.
thank you all. See you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, Priya.
No worries. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.